Imagine walking into a bank and seeing another woman living your life, wearing your coat, using your name, sitting beside your husband. That's the moment I realized my marriage wasn't breaking, it was being stolen.
Mrs. Nadia Rahman? I'm certain it isn't you. Your husband is here at the bank with a woman who looks exactly like you. The voice on the line sounded familiar, but exhaustion wrapped around my brain like fog. I hadn't slept. My baby, Alina, had cried through the entire night again. By mid-afternoon, I was surviving on caffeine and sheer instinct. "I'm sorry, who is this?" I asked, wiping oatmeal off the kitchen table for the 10th time. My 4-year-old daughter, Zara, had once again refused to eat it. "It's Farah Siddiqui from Central City Trust Bank, downtown branch. You helped me 5 years ago." Farah. Of course. 5 years earlier, I had proven her innocence when her supervisor stole funds and tried to pin it on her. She would have lost her job, maybe even faced charges. I had found the discrepancy. I had saved her career. "Yes, Farah, I remember. What's wrong?" Silence. A deep breath. "I'm breaking every rule calling you. If anyone finds out, I'll be fired. But I owe you my life." My spine straightened. "Tell me." "Your husband is here, with a woman." I almost laughed. "That's impossible. Hamza is in Karachi on business. He left yesterday. He'll be back in 4 days. Farah's voice trembled. "The woman says she's you. She's wearing your beige cashmere coat. She has your handbag. She presented your ID. The kitchen felt suddenly too small. "What did you say?" "She looks like you. Same haircut, same color. But I know you, Mrs. Rahman. I've seen you dozens of times. This isn't you." My pulse roared in my ears. "What are they doing?" "They're trying to liquidate all your accounts, transfer authority. They've been in the conference room for 2 hours. There's a full file of documents and—" She hesitated. "And what?" "Your mother is with them, Mrs. Samina Qureshi. She's signing as a witness." The phone nearly slipped from my hand. "My mother?" "Get here immediately," Farah whispered. "I'll stall them." The call ended. I stood frozen in the kitchen, oatmeal smeared across the table, afternoon sunlight cutting through the curtains, my daughter tugging at my jeans. My husband, a woman pretending to be me, my mother signing papers beside them. I am 40 years old. I gave 15 years to my career, 10 to the man I called my husband. I bore him 3 children. I gave up my profession when he said, "The family needs a mother, not a corporate machine." I signed every document he placed in front of me because I trusted him, because I believed him, because I was too tired to think. "Mommy, cartoon." I looked at Zara. For the first time, I saw something in her eyes that unsettled me, the sharpness she inherited from her father. If I didn't change things now, what kind of world would I raise her in? "1 minute, sweetheart." I put on a movie, checked that baby Alina was asleep, and called my neighbor, Mrs. Lila Kareem. "I need to leave. Emergency. Can you watch the kids?" 15 minutes later, she was inside my apartment. I was in a rideshare, hair tied back, wearing old jeans and a stretched-out t-shirt. But inside, something ancient was waking up. Before motherhood, I was a senior financial analyst. I closed multi-million-dollar deals. They called me the scanner because I could detect manipulation in contracts that everyone else believed were flawless. I didn't lose that ability. It just went dormant. And now it was returning. Memories surfaced rapidly. My beige coat, lost at the cleaners. My handbag, misplaced while moving boxes. My ID, slightly different when it was found. My mother's recent strange questions about my mental health. This wasn't coincidence. This was preparation. When I reached the bank, I didn't enter through the front. Farah met me at the service entrance and led me upstairs to the security room. The monitors flickered. And there he was, Hamza Rahman, immaculate suit, confident posture, relaxed smile. Beside him sat a younger version of me, perfect hair, flawless makeup, my coat, my bag, a polished, improved model. Across the table sat my mother, signing, without hesitation. And next to Hamza, his sister, Nadia Rahman Consulting LLC owner, organizing documents efficiently. I felt something inside me crack. Then something else locked into place. I am a financial analyst, and now I will do what I do best: gather evidence, analyze patterns, strike precisely. Farah, I said calmly, I need full transaction history for the last 3 years, and every power of attorney filed under my name. She nodded. When she returned with a thick folder, I began reading. $920,000 had disappeared over 12 months. Transfers in $10,000 increments to his sister's consulting firm. 3 months ago, power of attorney to sell our house. A loan in my name for $600,000 secured against our vacation property. 2 weeks ago, life insurance beneficiary changed from my children to Hamza. My fingers went cold. This wasn't me, I said. Farah checked records, security footage. A woman signing documents, never turning fully toward the camera. That was during the 2 weeks I was hospitalized with severe infection after birth. Forgery, fraud, identity theft, and that was only the beginning. I made one more call, an old colleague in corporate intelligence. Run a quiet background on Rahman Automotive Holdings. 15 minutes later, bankrupt, massive debt, lawsuits. Hamza wasn't expanding business. He was hiding assets in my name, then transferring them away. If creditors came, they would come for me. If divorce came, I would be left with debt. And his mistress. Because yes, Farah had just confirmed the impersonator's identity. Sana Malik, 28, listed as office manager at Rahman Automotive. $600,000 transferred to her over 3 years. Recently filed maternity paperwork. Pregnant. 3 years. While I was raising his children, he was building another life. I went into the restroom and looked in the mirror. Dark circles, unwashed hair, tired skin. I remembered him saying a month ago, "You look like a housekeeper. I'm embarrassed to take you out." I believed him. Now I understood. He isolated me, discouraged me from working, refused a nanny, exhausted me. A tired woman doesn't investigate, but an rested analyst, she dismantles empires. I returned to Farah. Farah, call internal security and tell them to prepare for fraud intervention, but don't act yet. Then I called my friend, attorney Sarah Malik. I need an emergency injunction on all property transactions, immediately. Do you have proof? Plenty. Send it. Within an hour, everything would be frozen. I stood outside the conference room door. Behind me, bank security, Farah, my mother, pale, shaken. Inside, my husband finishing my financial execution. I pushed the door open, and the world stopped. When I pushed open the conference room door, the air shifted. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Chairs froze. My husband, Hamza Rahman, stood near the window holding his phone. It slipped from his hand and hit the carpet. I had never seen that expression on his face before. Fear. Real fear. The woman wearing my coat, Sana Malik, jumped up so fast her chair fell backward. Without the coat's elegance, without my handbag shielding her identity, she suddenly looked young, insecure, fragile. Hamza's sister, Nadia Rahman, clutched the folder of documents like a shield. The bank manager looked from the polished woman in designer clothes to me. Old jeans, no makeup, dark circles. "What is going on?" he asked slowly. "Hello, Hamza," I said calmly. My voice surprised even me. "How was Karachi? Productive trip?" His mouth opened, closed, opened again. For 12 years, this man always had the right words. Now he had none. Sana whispered, panicking, "You said she was at the farmhouse. You said everything was handled." "Be quiet," he hissed. Too late. The manager straightened. "Sir, is this woman not Mrs. Nadia Rahman?" "No," I answered. "Mrs. Nadia Rahman is me." Silence. Absolute silence. The mask falls. "Take off my coat," I told Sana. "What?" "My coat, now." Her hands trembled as she unbuttoned it. The beige cashmere slid off her shoulders and fell to the floor. Now the bag, the watch, the earrings. One by one, she removed everything. Without my belongings, the illusion shattered. She was not a confident wife. She was a mistress wearing borrowed power. "Sit down," I said. "If you cooperate, you might leave here as a witness instead of an accomplice." Hamza tried to recover. "Nadia, sweetheart, this is a misunderstanding. It's temporary. Business restructuring. You know how markets are." I placed a document on the table. Power of attorney over all my accounts, authorization to sell our house, loan secured against property I never agreed to leverage, insurance beneficiary changed to you. I looked directly at him. "Is this also market conditions?" He swallowed. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under." "Oh, I understand perfectly." I stepped closer. "You're bankrupt. Raman Automotive is drowning in debt. You transferred assets into my name to protect yourself. Then you began siphoning them to your sister and your mistress." Sana began crying. "I didn't know. He said you were divorcing." I looked at her. "You've been receiving $20,000 monthly for 3 years. That's not ignorance. That's participation." The bank manager cleared his throat nervously. "Should I call authorities?" "I already have." My mother's choice. The door opened again. My mother, Samina Qureshi, walked in. Hamza's face lit up. "Auntie, tell them, explain. She agreed to everything." My mother's lips trembled. Then she said quietly, "Stop." The word sliced the air. "I signed those documents because I was told my daughter was mentally unstable, that she was suffering from postpartum depression, that she was incapable of managing finances." She looked at me. I was lied to. Hamza's confidence drained visibly. "You knew what you were doing," she said to him. "You told me this was for my grandchildren." "It is," he snapped. "No," she said. "This is theft." For the first time in my life, my mother stood beside me, not behind a man, not behind status, beside me. The final strike. I placed my phone on the table. Central City Police are on their way. Fraud, identity theft, forgery, financial manipulation. Hamza lunged forward. "You're destroying our family." "Our family?" I said softly. "You destroyed it when you changed my life insurance beneficiary to yourself, when you prepared to leave me with debt and no assets, when you built another life while I was recovering from childbirth." He tried one last weapon. "I love you." I leaned closer. "Don't use words you don't understand." The door opened. 2 officers entered. "Mr. Hamza Rahman?" He stood slowly. "You are being detained on suspicion of financial fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy." Handcuffs clicked. That sound. Metal on metal. It echoed like the end of a chapter. His sister protested. She was escorted out. Sana collapsed into tears. I felt nothing. Not triumph, not hatred, just clarity. Aftermath. For 3 hours I remained at the bank, freezing accounts, canceling transactions, signing statements. My lawyer, Sarah Malik, arrived and took control of the legal strategy. "She's facing serious time," she told me quietly.
5 to 10 years. I nodded. I'm not doing this out of revenge, I said quietly. I'm doing it because my children deserve stability. When I finally stepped outside, night had fallen. I sat in the back of the car and watched city lights blur past the window. That morning, I was a tired mother worried about spilled oatmeal. That night, I was a woman who had dismantled a carefully built deception, and for the first time in years, I could breathe.
The trial, the truth, the rebirth. 3 months later, I walked into the courthouse, not as a victim, but as a witness. The investigation. The forensic audit uncovered more than I expected. Hamza hadn't just been transferring money. He had opened shell companies under his sister's name, forged my digital signatures, moved overseas funds through a private broker, increased my life insurance policy 6 months before attempting asset liquidation. The most chilling detail? He had researched countries without extradition treaties. It was not a mistake. It was a plan. My lawyer, Sarah Malik, laid everything out with clinical precision. This isn't financial stress, she told the prosecutor. This is premeditated financial erasure. And that's exactly what it was. The courtroom. The courtroom smelled like old wood and tension. When they brought in Hamza Rahman, he didn't look like the man I married. No tailored suits, no confidence, no charm. Just a tired man in a gray prison uniform. He avoided my eyes. The prosecutor presented the timeline: forgery, fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Then I was called to the stand. Mrs. Rahman, when did you first suspect financial manipulation? The morning I walked into the bank and saw another woman wearing my coat. A ripple moved through the courtroom. Hamza's defense attorney attempted sympathy. Isn't it true your husband was under extreme business pressure? Yes, I replied calmly, but pressure does not create criminals. It reveals them. Silence. Even the judge paused before writing something down. The hidden truth. The most unexpected moment came from Nadia Rahman, his sister. To reduce her own sentence, she confessed. Hamza had been planning this for nearly 2 years. He had taken out loans against my inherited property, secretly recorded conversations to claim I was unstable, prepared divorce papers naming me financially irresponsible, and then came the final blow. He had intended to leave the country the week after liquidating the last account, without telling the children, without telling anyone. Just disappear. When the prosecutor asked why she cooperated, Nadia said, "He said women are replaceable, assets are not." The courtroom went completely still. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I just understood. The verdict. 3 days later, the judge delivered the decision. Mr. Hamza Rahman, this court finds you guilty on all counts: financial fraud, forgery, identity theft, conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Sentence: 8 years in federal prison. Sana received probation and a financial penalty for knowingly accepting stolen funds. Nadia received 3 years for conspiracy and asset concealment. When the gavel struck, it felt like a door closing forever. Hamza finally looked at me. Not angry, not loving, just empty. I held his gaze, and then I looked away first. The divorce. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I kept the house, my inherited property, full custody of the children, financial restitution payments. But more importantly, I kept my name. I dropped Rahman. I became Nadia Qureshi again. It felt like oxygen. Rebuilding. Rebuilding wasn't glamorous. It was therapy sessions, financial planning meetings, long nights balancing accounts, learning trust again. I started consulting for small businesses, helping women protect their assets, understand contracts, and recognize financial red flags. Pain became expertise. Fear became strategy. And weakness, that became armor. 1 year later, exactly 1 year after the bank incident, I received a letter from prison. 3 words: I was wrong. No apology, no explanation, just ego reshaped into regret. I didn't reply. Closure does not require conversation. It requires peace. The real ending. People often ask me, do you hate him? No. Hate is heavy. I prefer freedom. The day I walked into that bank, I thought my life was collapsing. But it wasn't collapse. It was correction. Sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. It introduces you to yourself. And the woman I met that day, she was stronger than I ever imagined.